As I was rushing into the break, I was making a comment to Congressman Waltz about if the motion to vacate the chair, meaning to basically boot the House Speaker, were to go through, given the fact that there's such a narrow margin, that it could result in the Democrats gaining control of the House for the first time in the middle of a session. It's never happened before where the Congress has switched hands in terms of the majority during the midst of a session of Congress. That could happen. Very real possibility. Don't have time to unpack that, but I'll get to that maybe tomorrow. But be praying. It would not be a good thing either way. All right, I discussed this yesterday on Washington Watch. Former President Donald Trump released a video yesterday morning, a statement explaining his position on abortion post-Roe. And his statement said this is an issue now with the states. Well, as Christians, we know that we must protect the most innocent among us. And creating a culture of life requires work at every level of government. Now, the former president followed up his video with social media posts stating that Republicans are losing elections due to the life issue. But the extreme position of the Democrats is a losing issue. And Republicans must build consensus for creating a culture of life that is embraced by all. And that's how we got here. That's how we came to this point after 50 years of seeing Roe overturned. We went from one consensus point to another. It took time, but we got there because we never abandoned this basic understanding that all life has value because it is created in the image of God. And there is a role, yes, at the states, and I'm excited about that as a former state legislator who passed a number of pro-life laws, but there's a role at the federal level. And joining me now to talk more about this, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. He serves on 4 Senate committees, including the Senate Judiciary Committee, where he's a ranking member, and the Senate Appropriations Committee. And he's the author of a number of pro-life pieces of legislation. Senator Graham, welcome back to Washington Watch.
God bless you and your listeners. We need you now more than ever.
Well, let me ask you, were you surprised by the president's statement? Because I know you've had many conversations, because I've been involved in some of those with the president.
Yeah, no, we met with him. Here's what I would say. I think, it's a comma, not a period. This is tough politics. I get that. I admire the president. He was a great pro-life president. But we got to sit down and think and pray about what comes next for the pro-life movement. The Unborn Victims of Violence Act, that was my bill. It took 10 years. Partial birth abortion took 15 years. I've been told that my pain-capable limit on abortion at 15 weeks, we don't have the votes. I said, you're right, but you'll never have the votes unless you make an effort to get the votes. So what am I trying to do? I'm trying to find consensus. Here's where consensus exists in America. At 15 weeks, the child can suck his thumb, capable of feeling pain. About 70% of Americans would limit abortion at 15 weeks. I understand the state rights issue to a point, Tony, but I am not going to sit on the sidelines and watch California, New York, and other states allow abortion on demand up to the moment of birth without trying to do something about it.
Let me ask you a clarifying question there for just a moment, Senator. Your legislation that you proposed at the 15 weeks allows states to go further, like Oklahoma,
yes,
Louisiana. They can continue 100%. To do what they're doing.
It's a minimum standard. It doesn't override state law. It puts a minimum. You can do what you want to at the state level up to a point, and I picked 15 weeks. Why did I pick 15 weeks? Because we know the pain, the baby can feel pain. You need Ben Carson on the show to explain what a child is like at 15 weeks. The French limit abortion at 14 weeks. 12 to 15 weeks is sort of the normal standard for European nations. I'm trying to get America to focus on the child, not geography. Right. See, the pro-life movement to me is about the well-being of the child. You find consensus where you can. This idea that it's a states' rights issue takes away from the fact that it's about the child all the time, every time. So geography is not the point of the pro-life movement. The point of the pro-life movement is protect unborn children to the best you can and find consensus. So, yes, states can be more restrictive, but at 15 weeks, my bill draws a line because the baby can feel pain.
Right.
And we need to be against late-term abortions.
Let me talk about that consensus for just a moment, Senator, because consensus is an educational process. You're bringing people along, and so we're having these conversations. Doesn't mean we stop there. I mean,
No,
I certainly,
God, no.
I've been very clear on this. I am for protecting life from the moment of conception on, but I understand that in this republic in which we live and how we operate, we've got to come to a consensus on certain points. So we work, and we get to a point, and then we work, and we get to another point. That's how it works.
Well, that's the way it works in your personal life. That's the way it works in your political life. Here's what I want the pro-life movement to be about: the child. Okay.
Right.
I want it to be a joyful movement. I want it to be helping the mother make good decisions. I want it to be a loving and caring movement. I don't want to say that there's no room in Washington for the unborn. I don't want to say to our nation that the Capitol is closed when it comes to protecting the unborn. It is a state issue. I agree with that up to a point. Then it becomes a human rights issue.
Right.
You know, remember the Dred Scott decision? There was a time in our country where some states could own slaves if they wanted to, and other states didn't have to. You know what we said? Nobody should own a slave.
Right.
There'll come a day when science and education by you, me, and others will convince the American people that late-term abortions are barbaric. And I am going to keep fighting this, advocating for this, because I do believe late-term abortions are barbaric.
And we can disagree in this process and work together. Like Donald Trump, I am assuming that your golf games will continue. And you'll have conversations with him.
Listen, President Trump was a great president on the life issue. He was a strong commander-in-chief. I enthusiastically support him, but I'm not building, I'm in Congress and the Senate for a reason, and that's to advance the cause the best I can. I compromise with Democrats. I get conservatives mad because I'm trying to move the ball on immigration and other things. I try to be a practical guy, but well-grounded. My goal as a member of the Senate is to continue to educate the American people about the unborn and try to find consensus and protect them where we can.